are so excited because we have Scrappy Kimberly Wiefling with us. She is the president of the Silicon Valley Business Alliance. That
Actually,
means
no,
she
just
is
the
the woman.
co-founder of Silicon Valley Alliances. I'm just one of the team. We don't have a
She
hierarchy.
loves she loves to talk about team and bringing people together, which is why she's on the show today, because she is the person who really helps us to position ourselves so that we can have success in our businesses, in our lives, in our communities. And so I'm going to, without further ado, allow you to introduce yourself and have us get started. Tell us who
Well,
you
just
are.
give a little taste, a little appetizer of who I am. And if people are still hungry, they can come back for more. I started
Okay.
off my life wanting to be a scientist. Oh my gosh, as a kid, I loved science. Then when I went to college, I studied chemistry and physics. I got a master's in physics. And then I joined the crazy corporate world in engineering and technology, hardware, software, firmware. Wow. And finally, I learned I should have studied human skills. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to be a good leader. So I was shifting, went to 3 failed startup companies in 3 years. And then I pivoted to have my own business. So at least if I was working for an asshole, it was me. And if I had jerks on the team, it was me. So I was working by myself for a while. And then I finally gathered a wonderful team of people called Silicon Valley Alliances. And now for the past 20 years, I have been consulting with global companies, mostly Japanese companies, and going all over the world, transforming planet Earth for the better. And I'm fixed the boss hole problem, the boss hole, you know what that is?
The
And now
boss
I'm
whole
working,
problem, guys. She
and
fixed it.
I've helped people do impossible things. And now I'm starting to work on how can we work together to transform planet Earth through corporate sustainability. So that's my next big adventure, Arlene. Thanks for asking.
Corporate sustainability. I love it. Solving the trash hole problem.
The whole
I don't think
planet,
that
the
was,
whole
go
planet.
ahead.
Well, I told my friend that he's big into climate and sustainability. I told him, hey, I can help people do impossible things. I have like a track record of at least 50% success rate in impossible projects. Because impossible in physics, it's like, oh, please, you just don't know how yet. And he said, well, if you can help people do impossible, why don't you help save the planet? I'm like, okay. So I just started pivoting in that direction a year or so ago. And now I am the forward city lead for San Francisco Bay Area Peninsula, creating monthly events, and I am doing corporate sustainability facilitations. I'm not a sustainability expert. I help them explore what's possible and discover what seems impossible is merely difficult.
And that is the message for us today. What seems impossible is merely difficult. And one of the things that you've done is travel all over the world, presenting and having corporate clients that have helped you and enhanced your sustainability so that you can do the fun things that you want to do to enhance the world. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. And it is fun in a way. I mean, working with other people on things that seemed impossible. And a few days later are like, oh, wait a second. Oh, wait, we could do that. Oh, yeah. Because I have a whole list of things that people thought were impossible. I mean, I can bore you with that sometime.
Oh, wow. No, tell us some of the things that were impossible
oh,
that you've been
oh,
able
God.
to overcome.
Well, I mean, somebody smart guy said a long time ago, there is no way a rocket will ever be able to leave Earth's atmosphere. Never. Really? There's people walking around on the moon, right? And someone said, oh, television, even if it's technically feasible, it will never be financially viable. And then when radio was invented, someone said, radio? Who would pay to send a message to nobody in particular? And the British said when the telephone was invented, oh, the Americans might need telephones, but we have messenger boys. Hello, your
Right.
pills. And then, oh, the Boeing 247 engineer, an engineer who helped make the 12-person double engine plane, 247 that held 12 people. He said a bigger plane will never be built. Ah, really? Your
Right.
pill.
Right, right. So if they can do all those amazing things that are supposedly impossible, we can too. And we can do it in terms of our business, in terms of our life, and in terms of our career.
That's right.
So,
You're
so
right.
where did you just come back from most recently? Tell us some of the places that you have consulted in,
Oh,
like
okay,
in
consulting.
Southeast
Well,
Asia, and
I'm
just give
going
them
to
a
Osaka.
snippet so they really
Yeah.
understand the scope.
Oh, well, in December, I will be going to Osaka for some consulting there, and then I will go to
Osaka,
Bangkok for 2 weeks for a couple
Bangkok.
of workshops there.
Hmm.
I've been to Japan over 100
Japan.
times. I've worked
Yes,
with
over
over
100 times.
Oh yeah, and over 50 global Japanese companies, all kinds of amazing companies. You worked for Yamaha Motors for like over 10 years, facilitating workshop learning labs to help them. These companies need to become truly global. When you're a multinational company, it doesn't mean you're global. So I've been trying to help these Japanese companies that are all over the world become a truly global
Mm,
company, proud of their Japanese heritage. And that has been a
okay.
lot of fun. And one of
Okay.
them, Karari, they've hired me for like 19 years, for God's sakes, to do these long
19
leadership
years.
transformation.
So,
Yeah.
in a time when many women are merely coming out now and running organizations and running
Mhm.
communities and governments, you're saying from 19 years ago, you were already leading things, you were already running
Oh,
fast and making
yeah.
things happen. Okay, so
Oh, yeah.
what we
They
need to do.
discovered me. They discovered me when they came to Silicon Valley, and they were hiring me again and again and again. Yeah.
Okay, so we love Silicon Valley. That's one of my favorite places to be. I'm so proud of my new California roots. My
Woo!
new California roots. I'm so proud of them. But my real question for you while you're on the show today, again, and I want you to come back again and again, is
Oh,
because you are truly a leader in this
uh,
space. Share with us some of the business owners who are looking to expand, and then those of us who have not expanded yet, but we're looking to start up
oh,
and get in the spaces where what was the way that you put it, where we can let go of the boss hole and just be
don't be a boss
free
hole. At least if you
to
work for
run around and,
yourself,
and
right?
and share our talents and
Yeah.
our gifts. So how
Yeah.
did you get into this space so that you could be
Well,
free?
you know what? I was working full time at Hewlett Packard, and on the side, I started a
Hewlett
little
Packard.
coaching business. I mean,
Okay.
that was at least, oh my gosh, that was many years before I even full time had my own business. So on the side, you start a little business. It doesn't have to
Okay.
be profitable. You're just practicing, right? So
Practicing.
just get a
Start at
business
nothing. Start
license.
with nothing.
Start with nothing, start
Okay.
practicing, get a business license. By the way, you can lose money for 5 years and it's tax deductible. Hello. Then I finally was after my third failed startup that I was a team member of. I finally said, okay, I'm going to do this full time consulting. And then I tell people now, oh, the first 5 years are the hardest. It took me 3 years just to start making any meaningful money, and about 5 years to get kind of break even.
So
Yeah.
it took you 3 years to get started and
Yeah.
5 years to break even. And I think
Yes.
that's
And
one of the
then,
key
yeah.
secrets that people need to hear. You're
Yeah.
moving fast, you're grooving. Now you're, doing into the several the
Oh,
big numbers, but many of us start and we don't continue because in the beginning it's hard. And I love to think of the situation with Amazon where the gentleman said that it took 6 years before Amazon turned a profit. And yet
yes.
they were knocking everybody outside of the water. Elon
Yeah.
Musk with the electric car, many people thought Tesla should just close their doors
Oh,
on the early
yeah.
end because there were so many tragic situations, but yet he kept going and then he was prosperous. So tell
Yeah.
us, what made you stay the course and know that even though things didn't look well in the beginning, that this was truly the path that you need to go?
Well, first of all, I hated being an employee. I really hated it. I was terrible at. I'm like, really? That person's telling me what to do? Oh God. And then and I was borrowing against my house. I was going deeply into debt, and I'm like, well, I can always sell my house. And then here's what I promised myself. I said, when I have given up and I think it's time to quit, I'm going to go 6 more months. So when I, after was going
Oh.
for the first year, and I said, I really think it's time to stop, I put on my calendar 6 months from that day. Okay, reassess. And I just kept going 6 more months. And I got to that date and it still sucked. So I said,
Oh.
that's it. I'm going to go look for a real job. And then the next week, someone calls me, hey, we want you to come and do a keynote speaking in Southern California. I said, no, I'm quitting. They said, no, we really want you, Kimberly. I'm like, no, I don't have time. They said, we'll pay $3,000 for 1 hour, right? I'm like, okay. Go down there, stay in a nice hotel, a 1 hour keynote, and boom. And after that, I was hooked again. And the real breakthrough was finding partners who could be my agent to represent me with the corporate clients who were never going to pay attention to little Kimberly. But I had UC Santa Cruz Extension representing me in the business in the Bay Area. They sent me to all kinds of corporations. I worked for Cisco through them. They sent me to Armenia to work in Armenia, for crying out loud. And through them, I met my Japanese agent that I then worked with for another 15 years. It was amazing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So what you're saying to us is partnership is key. And this is something I want to focus on this time, because last time we only had a chance to a snippet of opportunity to really discuss this. Many people say partnerships don't work. Partnerships are hard. Especially partnerships with women are very challenging. But what you're saying is this was the secret. How did you know who the key people were that you should connect with? How did you know, okay, this one isn't, but this one is going to work with me and we're going to mesh and they're going to help me to move forward? Tell us a little bit of insight in partnerships.
I'm a scientist. I was experimenting. I'm like, hey, look, I don't know if it's going to work. I'm just going to do some experiments and then see what happens. And I experimented many, many times. And I would tell people, hey, look, I'll give you an hour of my time in exchange for a chance to practice and get your feedback. Or I'll give you a day of my time in exchange for your, feedback and a chance to practice and prototype, or give me a testimonial. And then I got this one agent, and they introduced me to this other agent that happened to be the biggest English language company in all of Japan with 1,200 corporate clients. And they loved me. And then they tried to sell me into all of them. And 50 of them said, yeah, we need that.
Wow. Would it be accurate then to say that you started international while you were doing national? Would it be accurate?
Yes.
And you started working with different communities?
Well, come look where I live. Arlene, I live in Silicon Valley. Everybody wants to come here and say, make me innovation person. I'm like, yeah, they come and try to get innovative. And then I'm like, okay. And then they go, wow, why don't we get you to come over there? All right, sure. Give me a plane ticket, I told this person.
Okay. And this is how I was able to meet Scrappy Kimberly Wiefling. I was at a networking event with another person in Silicon Valley, and he said to me, oh, you know who you should meet? You should meet this amazing lady who's doing a lot of the things that you're interested in doing. And he brought me to her event, and then I was able to meet lots and lots of other people. So what is the secret here? You're not only talking the talk, but you're walking the walk. Okay, many of the people who are a part of our community, I signed up for another community, went, joined, and then as a result, I was able to network with those people, and so on and so on, and it expands. So this secret it's a secret, but it's not really a oh yeah, and she has these things, she has these microphones at her event. Another secret that you do at your event, and I want you to tell me if this is part of your rationale or if it just, evolved. Like, was there a science behind it? Allowing everybody at your community to speak with the chicken.
Well, so
if you come to her event, you get to participate, you get to speak.
Well, I'll tell you, yes, absolutely. Whenever I do this work, I use adult learning theory. There's lots of research that shows that lecture, just sitting there listening to some expert, doesn't change anything. Long ago, I taught algebra at the University of Phoenix, spare time, like in the evenings or weekends, right? And they only allow adult learning theory, interactive, engaging. They don't allow lecture. And they sent me like 20 hours of class on how to do interactive, engaging stuff. And then over the years, I have learned that, oh my gosh, if you can replace my experience by a video or reading a transcript, we have failed. It has to be interactive, engaging, experiential, and involve people meaningfully. And by the way, Arlene, do you know that if you have fun, you're 300% more creative? I'm like, okay, gosh, I don't like to have fun, but we got to. Flying machines are impossible. See, that's how these people talk. They don't say, oh, really difficult, or maybe I don't understand how, or maybe we'll need to wait hundreds or thousands of years to develop the technology. Nope. They just say it's impossible because they cannot immediately think of how to do it. But you do not start with how. How is the last thing you work on. You start with why. Why does it matter? So for whatever your dream is, think of your dream right now and then ask yourself, big why. Why? Why do I want this? Why does it matter? And why would this be a huge breakthrough for me, my family, my community, our world? And then go on to who cares? Who can help us? Who can hurt us? Who would we serve if we do this? And who would be disappointed if we don't? And who are the key stakeholders we need to work with? I mean, this is critical, and it's a very complicated part of this process because the stakeholder universe is usually massive. It has dozens or maybe even hundreds of stakeholders, and they don't all want exactly the same thing. So it's not so easy. So big why and big who, people. Start with that. I'm in the nighttime school with 40 people who all have daytime jobs at different corporations here in the Silicon Valley. And they love what I'm doing. And then they go back and say, we need her. We need her to come and help us. So I worked at big companies all through the Valley, like Symantec, for example. And they got me into places that would have never hired me as just myself, right? Because here I am, UC Santa Cruz Extension professor, teacher, and my classes were so much more engaging than the others. I never lecture. It's exercises, activities, games, even creating monsters, prototypes, and really fun things. So it's crazy. If you come and see my workshop, like Arlene, you saw a little bit of it when we used the chicken as a microphone. But you come and see my workshops. Oh my gosh, when we finish in Tokyo, and we've got all these Japanese executives wearing wild shirts, and we've got people dressed like llamas, and we've got amazing things happening. It is
the excitement, the fun of it. It doesn't have to be stuffy. It doesn't have to be, the way that they do it. It can be the way that we do it. We can create something. And that's what I see with your community. You've created a community that's comfortable, that is pleasant, that is inviting. People actually want to help you. And that's what we are endeavoring to do in our community as well. And that's why we're so grateful that you're a part of our community, because we don't win alone, but when we work together, we all win. We all get to succeed. And the secret, And another thing that you did that I have seen is the fact that not only do you allow the groupthink to move forward, but you actually find out what each person is interested in. So when I was working with the community, it seemed like it was so challenging sometimes to get all of the stakeholders involved. But with the Alliance, you're allowing each person to share their goal, and yet we still all end up at the same place. So how are you able to facilitate meeting the needs of the individuals in the group? Because everybody has their own business, and yet still endeavoring to ensure that the collective does well.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Some people are not a fit, but you all look up there and you see the North Star, and that's where you're headed for. You have shared values and a shared commitment to a future that you can't create by yourself. Here's our vision, because we did create it and we wrote it down. We envision a global community where people are empowered by the realization that anything is possible, where differences are celebrated, where individuals, teams, and organizations show up as the best version of themselves, and where organizations are united in their commitment to people and planet Earth.
Yes.
And we wrote that down. It took us a few hours. We wrote that down, and we live it. And if money is your number one goal, you don't join our group.
Yes. Don't join that group. Money is flowing, but if that's what's number one and foremost on your mind, that's not what the discussion is. And I think that's key, because sometimes we all want to make money. That's why we're in business.
But the research proves companies that have profit and money as a goal make less money. Profit is the result of delivering value. It is not a goal.
Say that again.
Companies that have profit and money as a target, as a goal, make less money. If you create value and as a result of that value, you get money, that is effective. But money as a goal drives the wrong behavior. It drives corruption. It drives cheating. It drives stupid behavior. It's like measuring how many phone calls somebody in a call center makes, takes care of every day when customers call in. You just hang up and the customer has to call back. You got twice as many phone calls. I mean,
I think there's a book.
Yes.
and it's called The Psychology of Money. And it
Ah,
would certainly concur with what you're saying. There's also research in sales that says the people who do top in sales are people who love their clients, not necessarily people who are just talking about bottom line, I need to make this money. And so I think this is a key that you're talking about right now, Kimberly. We've like the fact that if we truly want to advance and we truly want to get to that level of like yourself and making lots and lots of funds, the focus can't be on making the funds
no,
because then they don't come. And that's
that's
why
right.
so many people are having challenges. I've written this book. It's called Overcoming Fear and Getting Unstuck, and I talk about it in there as well. I'm giving credit to The Psychology of Money, but I also need to give credit in my book because this is a secret and everybody wants to make money, but not everybody is making it in the way that they would like. So let's take a step back and look at truly what is it that we want to accomplish, because 9 times out of 10 we want the money to facilitate something, and it's not just the pieces of paper. And so Kimberly, I'm so excited that you shared that with us, and I want you to take it a step further and give us what are some of the secrets that you've used in terms of money.
What I do is I see money is just paper blessed by the treasury gods. I focus on what can I do that will add real value? How can I add real value to my clients, to my customers? And
Right,
as a result of that value, they will be
right.
happy to pay me. And now at this phase of my career, I tell people, pay what you want. Now, if you have money and budget, this is how much
Wow.
I'm worth. But if you don't have money, I'll do it for free or pay what you wish. And sometimes it's just an honorarium. But when you put it out there on your website, I worked with this person, I worked with this business, I did this project, you don't have to tell them how much you got paid. It doesn't have to be posted
Right.
on your LinkedIn how much your salary was when you had this job. Nobody knows if it was
That's right.
free.
That's
But
right. I
most
think
of my
that's one of the
clients
key
that pay
secrets. I
me,
just
they
recently
pay
worked
me
with a
good.
hospital.
Oh, really?
I recently worked with a hospital in Silicon Valley and did a project for them. And the numbers were not what I am accustomed to, but I
Yeah.
was willing to do it because it opens doors for me because they're a major hospital. They're all over the place, on television. They have a huge following. And so I want to be able to use that company in terms of my marketing. And so sometimes we need to do that, decide what we want to do, and sometimes give people an opportunity to see how we work and see how we flow. In terms of books, you are the author of 7 books. Tell us about some of the books that you have written and why you've written some of those 7 books.
Well, the most
What's the nuts and
important
bolts if you can pull out from them for us? Because we don't have
Most
time to go
important
through all
book
7.
is Scrappy Project Management, because I noticed at
Got
the
it.
end of every project, when we have the what went wrong meeting, like the debrief, they were always the same. And I'm like, why are these lessons learned always the same? That means they're lessons not learned. So I said, could we please fail for new and more
Right.
exciting reasons? Oh my gosh, if you knew it was going to go wrong, why don't we prevent it? And then it was published in Japanese by Nikkei Business Press, the biggest business publishing company in
Okay.
Japan. And another one that I feel really proud of is me with 11 of my scrappy gal pals. We wrote this Scrappy Women in Business saying, here's what it's like to be a woman in leadership. And that was so fun.
Give
And
us
we
one
did this.
secret to women in leadership. Give us one secret to women in leadership.
Come on. It doesn't, you just do what the best leaders in the world do. The best leaders in the world, they have clear shared goals, that they share an inspiring vision. They're honest, have high integrity, and they care about other people. They give appreciation that's sincere and authentic. It's been studied for 30 years what the best leaders in the world do. Just do that. It can fit on one page. If you want to know what that one page is, just write to me and I'll share the one page. But the leadership challenge was studied by Barry Posner and Jim Kouzes for 30 years, and the best leaders in the world are honest, forward-looking, inspiring, and competent. It's not rocket science, people. Don't
Even though
focus
we
on
wouldn't
the,
believe that from watching television.
oh, please don't watch television if you want to be inspired. It's too depressing.
Right. It's
So,
actually
so
the
here's what I want
opposite.
to tell you. Here's a summary. Common sense is not common practice. Smart people prefer complicated solutions. If you do what makes common sense, you will do much better and get better results. Now, it won't maybe look as fancy or wild, and you might have lots of people telling you all the reasons why it's not good. Don't believe them. It's proven to work. Study the leadership challenge. Find out what the best leaders in the world do. It's been proven for decades, and use common sense. And the 12 predictable and avoidable pitfalls that every project faces will not be the reasons you fail. Fail for new and more exciting reasons.
There we go. Thank you for sharing that with us. As we are coming to a close, we have a couple of questions for you. I'm going to allow April to come up and
All
ask you her
right.
key question. Go ahead,
All
April.
right.
Hello, Scrappy. How are you today?
Extremely adequate. Yay.
Yay, thank you. I do have a question for you, and so far everything is great. I'm enjoying it. I work at a school as an administrator, so I have a question that goes with education. How can schools cultivate a scrappy culture that empowers students to take their ownership of their learning and leadership?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because I can tell you about a NASA study that studied the creativity of 1,500 people when they were 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, and adults. And they found out the creativity of the 5-year-olds was big, and the creativity of the 10 years olds had dropped to about 30%. And the only thing that they did was go to school. Do not focus on grades. Do not focus on doing things right. Focus on being creative. Focus on failing forward, taking necessary risks, learning from mistakes. Unfortunately, the grade system and focus on getting good grades is what kills a lot of the creativity, and it takes away the ownership. If someone tells you what to do, then you're a helpless victim and you just say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. Don't. No, you co-create, collaboratively create the school experience. Ask the students to take responsibility for co-creating the learning experience, not sitting there going, come on, teach me something.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Beautiful, beautiful. As a former educator myself, I remember being in that classroom and them telling us, oh, you have to do this, that, and the other, as opposed to allowing us to be more creative and to implement the things that we feel strongly about.
Oh yeah. If you tell people what to do, they turn off their brains. Now, if you say, hey, you guys, what would be creative? What would you like to achieve a week from now, a month from now, a year from now? Okay, now let's explore, let's experiment, take necessary risks, learn from mistakes, fall down 7 times, stand up 8 times, keep going, keep growing.
What do you think is the thing that causes people to hire you over some of the myriad of 50 million other consultants and business executives throughout Silicon Valley and then New York, because we're here in New York and all of the other places throughout the country? What is it
Well, I'll
that's,
tell
you
you,
think, the
I've
major selling
gone
point?
in, a lot of places you never get fired for hiring McKinsey, right? Places I've gone in after they've hired these millions of dollars of consultants, and all they do is print up like, hey, here's some recommendations. And I look at them and I'm like, these are really great. What did you do? Nothing. Come on, man. If people really want to change, not just have a document that tells them how they should change, they hire me. If people are desperate, if they know the choice is change or die, my commitment is I'm going to help you change or I'm going to get fired, and I don't care which one it is. I'm not here to collect that paycheck. I'm here to make sure that we jump off the cliff, and while we're falling and screaming, we both grow wings and learn how to fly. And that is terrifying, and you can't always predict what's going to happen. The big consulting firms, they're not in it to help you get changes. They're in it to help get the next contract. I'm in it to help transformation, positive transformation happen. And I will not stop. And I've gotten fired from plenty of places when I push too hard at the executives. And they're like, no, 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 Kimberly, we don't need to change. It's change our people, fix our people. I'm like, you know what? Sometimes the executives do need to admit they are contributing to the problem. And I'm like, good, fire me. And there are people who are like, oh, sorry, Kimberly. I'm not there to get the next paycheck. I'm there to get transformational change happening.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much, April. Thank you so much. Our next question is by John. She is another entrepreneur in California and also out of Texas. She does both, and her question for you is, how do you make the connection with the people to do free consultations for their feedback? How are you making those
Well,
connections? Good question, Jashan.
oh, well, I mean, what I did, I was sitting on an airplane flying home from a business trip, and I was telling this guy next to me, yeah, I'm pivoting towards corporate sustainability. I know I can facilitate impossible projects, but I don't have a lot of history with corporate sustainability. I'm looking for some places to prototype and experiment. Well, he doesn't say anything, but he gets my email address. 2 weeks later, they call me and say, can you come to Houston and can you facilitate our global executives? It was a huge company out of Australia, and they were all from the executives from all over the world meeting there. And they said, sure, Kimberly, come on and experiment. If you want to learn about this, you can learn by helping us. And then when I went home, they sent me $10,000. I didn't even ask for it, right? Because I'm like, no, I just want to come and learn and develop my credibility and my ability and get some feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So you just offer, you just keep
Absolutely.
offering. And it's like this, you have a piece of pie and you offer it. If people aren't hungry, they won't eat it, right? It's no problem. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the pie. You just find out who's hungry.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you have, that leads us to your, you something that you're offering today, and
Yes.
this would be a great time for you to share it with us.
Sure. Well, since I'm really committed to shifting more and more over the coming years to focus on corporate sustainability, facilitating breakthroughs, facilitating the strategic planning, scenario planning to create what seems impossible and to make the corporations transform to sustainability with a very profitable upside. It's not going to be worse. Everything's going to be better. So I want to have some chance to experiment with that with small, medium, large businesses. And every quarter, I will give one prototype for free, me and my colleagues, and we will facilitate either online or in person a one-day workshop that will prototype with you in exchange for your feedback to see how we can improve and perfect what we can offer. I know we can help people do impossible, and I know that a sustainable company will make more money than an unsustainable. And when you make the sustainable solution better, faster, cheaper, easier, and more fun, you won't have to convince your customers to do it that way. They'll do it automatically. Like you don't have to convince drivers to drive on the highway. Why would they drive through the
Right.
forest? It's easier.
Why you convince drivers to drive on the highway? That is such a great offer. We're so excited that you are giving us that opportunity. There are so many people that are on. Gigi, the girl, says thank you and hello. And she says she's saying it in her Mrs. Doubtfire voice to accommodate you. There you go. Dennis says hi. How do I sign up? And are there any grants that you're aware of that people can get involved with?
Oh, grants. I don't know about grants. I mean, I work for corporations. They either have a budget or I do it for honorarium or I do it for free. Grants is an area outside of my expertise. That's the kind of thing that would be for nonprofits and for government agencies. So the companies I work with, they either have money or they don't. If they have money, they can pay me. If they have a little, they can give me an honorarium. And if they don't, they can just let me practice on them and give me a testimonial or feedback or refer me to their other colleagues.
Wow, wonderful. Marshawn says, tell us, Kimberly, your most interesting client story.
Oh gosh. Okay. So this one company I've been working with, and it's publicly known that I work with Kurare. It's a Japanese company, amazing company, and they do business in 40 different countries. And they started hiring me 19 years ago to do this 6-month, 15-day program, 5 days in Europe, 5 days in the US, then 5 days in Tokyo. And then the last half day, 4 or 5 of their teams that are working through 6 months on these innovation and breakthrough projects, they present their crazy, impossible ideas at headquarters to their executives. Well, we have done this program 22 times in the last 19 years, and we're working on the 23rd time. It's so great. And with
Okay.
almost 100 impossible projects, about half of them have happened. Okay, how'd you like that? 50% success rate for impossible projects. So now this company, a couple of years ago, they changed their tagline under their logo to "Possible starts here." So if you want to make impossible
Yes.
inevitable, you work with companies like that, and that's my proudest moment. They tried to blame me for that. I'm like, I didn't change your logo. You guys did it. They did it. I didn't do it. They're amazing, and
That
I
is
love working with them.
awesome.
And we do that. It's an internal innovation incubator to make it safe to work on projects. Your manager would say, forget it. Your colleagues would say, don't do it. You're crazy. And your family would worry. And then if you did try and fail, you'd bring shame on your family for generations to come. But we make it safe to do it in our learning laboratory workshop.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I know we asked you for half an hour and we've gone over. Is it okay that we keep going, or do you need to
Sure thing. I'm
come to
happy
a
to.
close? Because we want to be respectful.
Oh, you're so kind.
Okay.
No, I'm going to
I
be, yeah, I'm fine for another 15 minutes.
Okay. We want to be respectful of your time. She said, "You're awesome, Kimberly. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time." I think one of the key pieces here, because you are the Scrappy Kimberly, and because you've made so many impossible things possible, I think our show today really lends to the fact that whatever it is that we're endeavoring to do, we can do it. So I'll give you a quick example of the working group that I needed to start in New York City. And I was told directly by one of the community leaders, it will not work. Don't do it.
Oh,
Can you
whew,
imagine? How's that for encouragement? And
yeah.
because they had tried it in the past and it hadn't worked. And so people who were in the upper echelons who knew about it, they decided that it wasn't going to be a success. But I didn't know enough to know that I wasn't supposed to do it. So I just stepped out and we just got started. And people started coming. And then I got key people to come. And then little by little, those same people who decided that it wouldn't work, they started showing up too and saying, well, how do we get involved? How do we put something
Oh,
together? So I'm so excited that you're sharing that with us, that we are small in number, but regardless of what it is, if we work together, we can all achieve. We can all win.
and you know what? People, the reason people tell you, oh, it's impossible, they're afraid to fail. If you can't fail, can never do breakthroughs and magic. So you have to be willing to make mistakes, take necessary risks, and learn from them and fail forward. Like a football team, the guy who gets the ball and gets tackled doesn't just lay there crying. He gets up and goes on. Fail forward.
That's right. Before this, when you got knocked down and you were failing, not permanently, but in the short term, how did you get back up?
I have friends, I have colleagues, I have people who encourage me and tell me, I'm like, hey, I need a little encouragement. Like a couple weeks ago, I started like, what is the point? Is it really working? And three different wonderful
Yeah.
people in my life said, I'm going to call you this weekend. And a couple months ago, I had a little blip and I was like, oh, God, what am I doing? And two of my friends from Frankfurt said, Kimberly, we want a session with you to remind you how marvelous you are. So you got to be surrounded by people who are your biggest fans and who will encourage you and support you. Because sometimes we can't see the back of our own head and sometimes we get discouraged. It's normal. But you sink into the icy couch of despair, but don't go to sleep there. Get some friends to come over, get some colleagues to help you and get back up and keep going again. I mean, how much fun would it be if everything went perfectly? How boring, huh, Arlene? Yeah, so yeah. Do not just sit there and say, I don't know, I'm not sure, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, it's been a wonderful adventure. I know that so many of you hung out longer than you're expecting, and I really appreciate that. And again, my offer is if you want to have a little bit of this, a dose of Scrappy Kimberly, and you're willing to let me practice on you facilitating corporate sustainability. I'm not talking about me bringing sustainability knowledge. I'm talking about me facilitating the process of you and your team exploring, perhaps with sustainability experts, exploring what's possible, what seems impossible, and how to make the impossible merely difficult. And I'm willing to do that. And if, sometimes I'm busy, I'm traveling, like next week, I'll be working in Chicago for a couple of weeks. And next month, I'll be working in Osaka and Bangkok. And next February, I'll be working in Tokyo again. But when I'm home, when I'm available, me and my team, we can do all kinds of stuff virtually that I never imagined was possible. During COVID, we pivoted everything to virtual. Or if you want to do something in person, which I personally think it makes a lot more sense if you can afford the travel budget, let's all gather somewhere in person. Or if you come into Silicon Valley, hey, come to my house. We've done workshops at my home. We have a space outside if the weather's good. We have a place in my living room. We've done all kinds of workshops. It has been an amazing experience. And getting paid, sure. If you have lots of money, please pay me. If you don't and you just want to do an experiment, let's talk about it. Be flexible on the schedule and let's do it. And keep going, keep growing, never give up, right? Fail forward. This world was not built by people who did everything perfectly the first time. And I know pessimists. Oh, pessimists are out there because they don't want to be wrong. They don't want to make mistakes. But optimism is a strategy. Noam Chomsky said optimism is a strategy for making a better future, because unless you believe the future can be better, it's unlikely that you will step up and take responsibility for making it so. If you assume that there's no hope, you guarantee there will be no hope. If you assume there's an instinct for freedom, that there are opportunities to change things, there's a chance you may contribute to making a better world. The choice is yours. Optimism is a strategy. Okay, people. Well, I'm just going to wait for Arlene to come back and wrap up the show. But thank you so much. My chicken thanks you. My Pikachu thanks you and appreciates your precious time. And I live in Silicon Valley, Redwood City. You can find me. I'm the only Kimberly Wiefling in the whole world. I think they had a limit for the planet Earth, because can you imagine more than one of me? Oh my gosh, that would be too much for anybody. So you can find me online. You can write to me, kwiefling@gmail.com. It's hard to spell my last name, so take a look at that. And you can find my phone number. It's not secret. If you don't know how to find me, just call the police. No, I'm just joking. Okay. Yeah, it's good. It will be fun to connect with you. And again, if I'm busy and out doing work with my so-called paying clients, of course, you have to be flexible if you want to work together. But if you know somebody who is absolutely committed to transforming their business in a positive, powerful way and needs a little help, an hour, a couple of hours, a day, a week, we'll make it happen. I got wonderful team members, Silicon Valley Alliances. I'll be working with them next week in Chicago. 3 of my Silicon Valley Alliances colleagues, and we will be working with this wonderful company, Carrare, the Possible Starts Here company. And we are going to transform these managers into leaders, transform groups into real teams who can make impossible merely difficult again. And trust me, many things seem impossible until your competitor does it. Okay, ask Motorola when Nokia kicked their butts, and ask, Nokia, well, why didn't you create an iPhone? So yeah, it's easy to say things are impossible, but again, many things seem impossible until your competitor does it. And then you say, why didn't I think of that? Oh my gosh. Yeah. So please ask yourself these questions. What seems impossible, but if it were possible, would transform me, my team, my organization, our clients, our customers, our world for the better? And then ask what might make impossible merely difficult. Do the big why, purpose beyond profit, mission that matters. Do the big who, stakeholder analysis, stakeholder universe. Do the big what exactly would success be in the eyes of the key stakeholders, and prioritize that ruthlessly. Because if you don't know what you're trying to do, it's like jumping into a car and driving full speed when you have no destination in mind. First, you get out a map and you say, that's where I want to be. I don't know, when I drive there, maybe a road is closed, maybe a bridge is out, maybe I have to go around an accident. But you have to know where you're going and why it matters, and who are you going to go with, and who's counting on you. And then you can do things like, okay, scorecard of success. You can get Scrappy Project You.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for your time. And we are so happy that you were able to spend some time with us. And we're asking, will you come back again at another juncture?
Oh, absolutely, my friend. Love to.
It was
Appreciate it.
great.
Thank
Great
you.
spending time with
Okay.
you. Have a great
Take
one.
care.
Bye-bye. And
All
thank
right.
you all of
Bye-bye.
our listeners for joining us today. For more information about the Scrappy Kimberly Wiefling and how you can get more information about the group, please go to askarleneshow.com and you will be able to join with us there. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I would love to
And
get the